Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ember and I play The Sims 4. So in this video I'm going to share with you the Sims that I created based on the asexual pride flag. So all of these Sims are on the ace spectrum and I'm really excited to introduce you to them. This is part of a series where I'm creating a house and Sims to live there based on all of the pride flags in The Sims 4. So in these clips of the Sims hanging out, you can sort of see the inside of this house I created for them. It's a Victorian house based on the asexual pride flag, but if you'd like to see more, you can go check out that speed build or any of the other videos in this series. And in that video, the speed build, I also gave some recommendations for asexual YouTubers that you might enjoy. So definitely check that video out if you're interested in that. But back to this video and these Sims. So like I said, all of these Sims are on the ace spectrum. Up first, we have Leila Mahmoud, who is demisexual, and she's also a lesbian and uses she, they pronouns. Layla is a writer. That's her aspiration and also her career. She writes stories, maybe, vampire stories. So Layla is not a vampire, but two of their roommates are. So, they do know vampires. Layla is also a vegetarian, creative, and gloomy. So, they write maybe some sort of dark things in their creative stories. They have a little bit more of a dark aesthetic. Honestly, I think Layla's whole outfit and look and their hair especially turned out really cute, and I really like how it ended up. I think you can just really get a feel for what sort of person Layla is through their style. And all of their outfits are, of course, based on the colors of the asexual pride flag. So they're black, gray, white, and purple. There tends to be a little bit more black and gray in a lot of these outfits because I feel like it fit the aesthetic well. And also there just isn't a lot of purple that goes. There's a few different shades of purple, but if we're talking about the purple that matches the asexual pride flag, there weren't a ton of options. So a lot of their color palettes do end up being more black and gray, but I think it is fitting with the type of Sims that they are. So Layla is demisexual, but in my mind, they're still pretty romantic. I did consider giving her the romantic trait, but decided against it. But yeah, I think that Layla is polyamorous and probably, enjoys dating, enjoys, talking to a lot of people. And Layla is demisexual, and so, friendships and, emotional connection is really important to Layla. So I am recording this audio a little bit ahead of time, sort of last minute, honestly, because I'm about to, tomorrow morning, I'm going to drive to my parents' house because I have to go to a wedding, which I'm not very excited about. And basically, I mentioned this in my last video, but I'm not out to my family, and it's not safe for me to be out to them. So I feel like talking about this stuff and recording it at their house is probably not a great idea. So I did decide to just go ahead and record this voiceover because I already finished creating the house and creating the Sims. But I don't really have time to make sure that all the parts of the voiceover fit exactly onto what's happening in the video. So if the audio does seem a little bit off, that's why I'm pre-recording it and then trying to get it to fit with the footage that I have. But hopefully it still makes sense and it still works. And maybe if there's an awkward pause in the audio or I don't have anything else to say, I'll put in some nice music or something. So several of these Sims have piercings, and I try to keep those piercings mostly consistent across all of their outfits, except for maybe, swimwear or sleep, maybe they'd have different outfits. But yeah, I try to keep their piercings consistent, though I really wish that the game would allow you to set piercings, set makeup, that sort of thing across many outfits so that you don't have to keep going in and picking them again. You'll see in the footage, occasionally I'll switch back and forth to double check, okay, the nose ring was on which side, and then which eyebrow, okay, and then, trying to make it all fit together. I also wanted to use, there's some really cool chokers in the game, some in the Vampires pack, and also, I think in the Realm of Magic pack, there's some nice chokers, and I wanted to use them on these Sims, but a lot of the time it didn't look quite right. I did end up using them a few times, but especially I've noticed that for Sims, so you can choose, you know, different body types. You can sort of make trans characters in the game. It's not the best system. They still need to add like configurable pronouns, and really they could stand to add a lot more options when it comes to bodies. But basically, when you have like a quote-unquote masculine frame, especially if it seems like if you mix up like masculine and feminine body or whatever, a lot of the like necklaces especially don't work. It's like the proportions are not quite right, so it'll like cut into their skin, or like some of the necklaces don't sit on their chest right, and that's really frustrating to me. Like, I wish that they would make it so that the chokers could work on everyone and like in every shape and size, and not look, you know, like I should be able to make a trans character and have them wear a choker without it glitching, you know? That was another thing, is like I was thinking about what type of clothing it would be nice to have in The Sims, and you know, a lot of times the masculine frame Sims get a lot less, and something I was thinking is like what they could do is start creating like dresses and skirts that work on the masculine frame Sims, because yes, we can use the like ones made for a feminine frame, but they don't fit right. And they've started doing, you know, like more traditionally masculine clothes for the quote-unquote feminine frame Sims. So like, why can't they do the reverse, you know? And I mean, I think we know why, but like, I think that it would be really great to have more skirts and dresses specifically made for Sims with that specific body type. Because like, I've gotten some custom content that does that, and it's really, really awesome, and I think that would be a great addition to the game. And speaking of trans Sims, now we have Kiara Goodwin. I think she's really cute. Kiara is a trans woman, she's a vampire, and she's also aromantic and asexual, or aro-ace as the like shorthand is. And yeah, Kiara is very sweet and good. She wants to be a good vampire. She's a good Sim. She really cares a lot about her friends and about other people and other vampires. She's also a geek, so basically what that means in The Sims is that she likes like video games. So I did put like a video gaming station in her room. I thought that was cool. And then she's also unflirty. So the unflirty trait is basically all we have in the game as far as like an asexual or aromantic trait. But unfortunately, like a lot of society, the game views like romance and sexual like activity as like the same, or like on a spectrum. Like they assume that romance always goes with sexual activity, which is not the case, especially if, you know, you're on the aro or ace spectrums. We do talk about like the split attraction model. Just because you're romantically attracted to someone doesn't mean you're sexually attracted to them. You know, just because you want to have sex with someone doesn't mean that you want to be romantic with them. But yes, in the game, basically, if you want your Sim to sort of be aromantic or asexual, you can give them the unflirty trait, which means just like they don't really like flirty interactions, or they are kind of awkward about them or uncomfortable. I'm not happy with a lot of the ways that the game portrays it, but you know, it's what we have. So I decided to give it to a few of the Sims. And I'm sure what would, you know, baffle them even more is that just because you're aromantic and asexual doesn't mean you don't want to date people, and doesn't mean you don't want to have partners and maybe even do certain things with them, just because you don't have romantic attraction or sexual attraction. So I decided that Kiara is actually dating Layla. So I thought they would be really cute together. And like so in my mind, they're like partners, and you know, they're both still on the ace spectrum, but like there's a lot of really interesting ways that like ace people, the way that our relationships with each other can work. And I think they can be really cool, and I wish that there was more representation of that in games like The Sims. And on that topic, I also thought that Kiara would be the kind of person who would want to have like queer platonic partnerships, which if you don't know what that is, it's an idea that sort of came out of especially aromantic communities. But basically it's a partnership that in some ways can function similar to like how people imagine a romantic partnership functioning. But it's not romantic, it's platonic, it's like being there for each other, it's having that connection without it having to be romantic or sexual, and it's just like this especially close partnership. And so yeah, and I think that Kiara would also be in like a queer platonic partnership with Nova, the other vampire, especially because, you know, they've probably been around a long time. And as vampires, they probably want support from other vampires. And so I think that they probably have that sort of relationship where they support each other. And speaking of Nova, I'll introduce you to them now. So Nova is a vampire. They are gender fluid, non-binary, and gray asexual, which is basically a term for when you're on the ace spectrum, but it's sort of like, it's not, not fully black or white, right? It's not no sexual attraction, and it's not definitely sexual attraction. It's sort of a way of describing various places on the spectrum, or not really knowing exactly how your attraction works, but knowing that it's, maybe very rare or only in particular situations. And yes, so Nova, like Kiara, is also a vampire, but they want to become a master vampire. So they really want to learn all the vampire lore and study. They have a nice big room in the top floor of the house with lots of bookshelves and a desk to sort of, master all the vampire secrets. They're also a loner, which is why I gave Nova that room up on the top floor to sort of have a little bit of space for themselves. Nova is also sort of a nerd, like I said, has, loves reading and just learning about different things. And yeah, so Nova is a bookworm and also is self-assured, so very confident in themselves. With my Sims, I like to give them, a few options for style, especially for things like everyday wear or formal wear, where for everyday wear, you're going to see it a lot. So I like to give a couple different options, especially if, they're gender fluid or if their gender expression is varies a lot. I like to give a few different options, and for things like formal wear, it's very gendered. So a lot of times I'll give Sims a more feminine option and a more masculine option to sort of reflect that instead of it being so binary. And as I mentioned, Nova is in a queer platonic partnership with Kiara, and I think that Nova's also in a queer platonic partnership with Damien, the fourth member of the household, or at least they have some sort of relationship going on there. Basically, my idea was, so Damien is a human, and he likes making drinks for his friends, which is nice because he can also make plasma drinks for his vampire friends, and he likes cooking. And so he's also human, so I thought that maybe, we have two vampires in this house, they need to drink from someone. So I thought that maybe Damien would occasionally allow Nova to, drink his blood, because a vampire's gotta have a meal, right? And he does providing meals and drinks for people. The only problem I encountered was I tried to get some footage of that, and even though I had their friendship up really, really high, and I even put up their romance a little bit, and it's still Damien wouldn't allow Nova to drink from him when asked, which I don't know how you get Sims to be willing to do that. Maybe you just have to level up the vampire to be more persuasive. I wish there was a way to, as Damien, say no, it's fine, yeah, you can drink my blood. But yeah, that was kind of weird. So I ended up just doing the compel for a small drink. But I feel in, the story that I've created, I feel Damien would be happy to provide that for Nova. And, maybe Layla will also do that for Kiara or stuff like that. Okay, and now we have Damien. So I've told you a little bit about him already. I think he's a really cool Sim. And I wanted to use some of the vampire hairs for the Sims, but they're kind of out there. They're a little wild and over the top, and they didn't always work. But I thought it would be really nice to use this hair with the white flowers. I would have loved it if there's one with purple flowers and black hair, but I couldn't find one. But yeah, I went with this one with black hair, white flowers for the asexual pride colors, and he also has, it's sort of a crown of spiky thorn things in his hair as well, and I thought it just looks really, really cool. So I really like all of these Sim styles, honestly, and I feel I was able to give them their own personality and their own quirks and stuff, which I really like. I did want for Damien, as much as I like this hair, I did think that it might be a little much for when he's sleeping or exercising. So I wanted to change the hair for those outfits, but it took a little bit to find one that worked. I tried a few different ones and they just didn't work right. Whenever I do different hairstyles on a sim. I like it to make sense, you know, like be sort of the same length or the same like texture of hair. But I think I did end up finding one that worked nice, like with a little gray bandana and just sort of looser hair, because you probably don't want to sleep or work out in like a spiky flower crown. I mean, as cool as the aesthetic is, like that probably wouldn't be very comfortable. So I think that with that other hairstyle, I was able to make it work still. So as I mentioned, Damien does love mixology. He loves to mix drinks for his friends. That is his aspiration and also his career. He also does like cooking as well. I added that as one of his likes. And oh yes, for all of the Sims, I gave them the likes for colors. I gave them like gray, white, black, and purple as their likes. I gave a few other like hobbies and stuff like that as well. But there's also plenty of like room for them to develop some of their own likes and dislikes. But I did like having the colors of the Ace Pride flag as colors that they all enjoy. Damien is also a foodie, so you know, he does really like food, as I said, and he's also unflirty and non-committal. So my idea for Damien is basically like, he's, you know, he knows he's asexual. He's not really sure like if he wants to even try for any type of relationships. Like he's kind of just fine with what he has with his friends and whatever's going on with Nova. But he doesn't really want to like commit to any like long-term or like intense partnership. He's just sort of like, you know, whatever, just doing some cool things with cool people. And I think Damien's probably still trying to figure himself out, and you know, maybe questioning things about his identity, but you know, he knows that he's asexual, and yeah, I think he just wants to like live his life with his friends and just do the things he's passionate about. Alright, so that is all that I have for you for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you enjoyed meeting these Sims. I had a lot of fun making them. And if you did enjoy it and you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe so you can catch the next ones that I do. And please leave me a comment if you have any suggestions for what flag I should do next. Or for if you have any like specific suggestions for what type of house I should build for specific flags, or what I could make the Sims like. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.